So I guess we should probably get started because it's an exciting time and it's late in different parts of the world, and others will just jump in. My name's Andy, just trying to help facilitate this beautiful session this fortnight, and probably pass it on to somebody else for next time. But it's a privilege and honor to be here with you, and I'm so excited to hear from people from all these different projects around the world. Today, in particular, really keen to hear from Guillermo in Switzerland, who was on hunger strike last year for God knows how long. We'll get the details. And he survived, which is so amazing. And then Laura from Italy is going to share with us their epic experience. I think something like 8 people blocking the motorways of Rome. How many times in the end, Laura?
9 blockades.
And each time that they told you to leave the city and you went back, and it's
yeah, of course.
so exciting. And yeah, so the format is basically we might just jump into breakouts to say a quick hello to some random people in different parts of the world. Then I think we'll hear from maybe Guillermo, and then we'll go into like a bit of just quick check-ins from some different projects around the world, because we have a few that are on the go, which with a bit of like what's going well, what's going not so well, just for like 5 minutes from the different campaigns. If anybody's got like a new campaign, if there's any new country here that's got something started up, we'd love to hear about it. And then we'll go to Laura to get a bit more in-depth reporting and sharing from Italia. And then Connie, I think Rodri is gonna, and then we'll go into more breakout rooms for a longer time to really like ask questions of each other. Hopefully, once we've got more information coming in, it might be more useful as well at that point. And the aim is to like create sort of decentralized networks of connection across the globe. And then Rodri is just going to give a brief update about the sort of international mobilization group that's trying to facilitate and support people all over the world in doing the most effective civil resistance. And if you're not in any mailing list yet, if you ended up here through like a friend of a friend, just pop your name and email and the country where you are into the chat, and we'll make sure you get added to the mailing list. But yeah, without further ado, I think we'll just go into some breakouts and just say a quick hello to each other. And I guess the topic might be New Year's resolutions, hey? Okay, so we'll meet back in just 2 minutes, so maybe like 30 seconds each. So just a reminder, if you are new to this connecting space and want to be kept in the loop, put your name and email and which country you're in into the chat, and we'll make sure that you keep connected. Now, yeah, I guess also just is so blatant, but we're just in a severe climate emergency. Everyone here knows that. You're all facing it in different places. And of course, it's happening in places that aren't represented here, particularly places that have a lot less resources than probably most of our countries, like Brazil and Bahia, which is like a poorer part of Brazil in the north, just suffering epic flooding recently. And it's just the tragedies of this situation that those that have contributed least have the least resources to defend themselves. So I know everyone's here to do what we know is right, and it's bloody brilliant. And I'd like to now pass it to Guillermo to tell us about what they've been up to last year, and and speak to us about their experience on hunger strike in Switzerland. And yeah, I'd love to give you like 10 minutes, Guillermo.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick then. So, okay, let's start. So the context in Switzerland. I'm a guy coming out of nowhere, never been activist, no nothing. Father of 3, happy husband, running a bourgeois life, normal in Switzerland. And I had a sudden epiphany that brought me to make an indefinite hunger strike on the Federal Plaza, which is just in front of the government building, to request that, demand actually, that our Minister of Environment would organize a training of our parliament, which holds the real power in Switzerland, about the climate emergency from the scientists from Switzerland. We have from the APCC and IPBES. So the first thing I'm going to say is that what I did is crazy dangerous, actually. Be careful, because it succeeded very based on a perfect alignment of the planets. And one of the good factors that I didn't calculate and anticipate is that the president of the National Council, which is the low chamber of the parliament, changed to be an ecologist, a woman. Then that's important, actually. And that deblocked the situation. What I've realized while doing it is that once you are entered in a hunger strike till the end, you're creating a hostage-taking situation, and the executive power will never yield, at least publicly. And the luck I had is that the elements of the parliament took on them to find a solution, which is quite miraculous, to be clear. So again, super dangerous. Now I'm going to go through the success factors nonetheless, because they are important, I think, in this story. First of all, what's noticeable in what happened is that the impact it had, meaning no organization would support me because the action was too deadly and too horrendous. So none of the XR, climate strike, whatever you want, name them, would support me firsthand. But, and that's very interesting, individuals within all those organizations have been deeply touched by the action. And that later on would actually turn them in and turn the organization themselves, which is quite amazing. So in terms of impact, what I've noticed is that the fact that I was a guy, so not an organization, and a normal guy at that, plus a father of a family, whatever, made the situation extremely impacting and relatable to people within parties, newspapers, and so on and so forth. And the interesting aspect was that hundreds and hundreds of people came to see me, actually from whole Switzerland, on the Federal Plaza, who were actually parents or grandparents who never were involved in any militant action, and came to cry actually in my arms because I was there basically crying my despair and acting on it with what has been named courage, actually. And that basically put them in front of a kind of a mirror saying, what are you yourself doing for your kids? Kind of action. And that guilt and shame was the engine that pushed them to come there and support me and become militants for the first time in their lives, which was interesting, actually. The same impact worked within parties, political parties in the parliament, mainly on women, actually. And I had support from actually women exclusively, from the Ecological Party, the Center Party, which is Socialist Party, and the Center Party, which leans somewhere with more to the right, but not that much. And also because I had kind of patriotic, my duty towards my descendants, saving the country kind of discourse. I had also some faint support from right-wing party, which is interesting actually. And all of that was possible because of two things, I believe. Is that first, I was the right character for the action, meaning really a standard guy, my age, so 47, 3 kids, normal job, never a militant, which is very relatable to most of the people. And they understood my epiphany story. Second is the storytelling around it. There's been, before I went there, I've actually put together my story with a lot of sincerity and pain and all the stuff. And that actually triggered many, many people at the personal level as their own fear became publicly sayable, if you want. And the fact that I was acting so extremely on my fear give the push for them to move a bit, enough actually to have them as militants supporting the action. Another impact that has been super interesting is that I had very active support from the media, in the sense that within the media, some journalists were so overwhelmed and touched by the story, they actively went, pushed the story all over the place when they could, and even harassed political people to get statements, public statements on the situation. They were extremely proactive, and that's been a surprise to me. And finally, let's say it's the story was very much built around old-fashioned values, which are duty, responsibility, love for your kids, love for your descendants, uh, uh, um, the willingness to take on any effort necessary to save the legacy for the next ones. So really that kind of, and it could be framed very patriotically, I don't know, nationalistically if you want, with the Swiss cross and all over the place. And I've noticed that has an appeal to some right-wing people actually, and I could talk to people I was not expecting to talk to from the right-wing parties, especially the what we call the agrarian ones, so the ones who are mainly representing farmers. Really, they've been hooked on that discourse. That was interesting. And at the end, what we have achieved is the following: is that for one, the main demand has been achieved through miraculous ways organized by many parliamentarians within the parliament, all women. Again, I state that strongly. And which is that all the scientists from Switzerland will present officially to them. The material will be also public, the state of the art of the climate science. The subsidiary goal that was not aimed at but worked is that for the first time in Swiss history, all the scientists from IPCC and IPBES within Switzerland talked together and synchronized to be kind of a lobby. So they are now a voice that can talk to Parliament and the public in a unified voice. And that's it's been materialized by a letter, a public letter they all signed, that has been sent to the Parliament and the media and everything. And that never happened before. And they were very happy it happened. And the third, there's a new group of involved persons who were never involved before, who now are part of this new organization that is not yet having a name, but that we are building right now with all the contacts we had with people, which are very interesting because they are my age, roughly, let's say, 10 years minus, so between 37 to 57 kind of thing. So the people who are the belly of the country, I'd say, representative of the belly of the country, they're not a majority yet, but who have suddenly realized that they must do something, anything, but they must. And I'm interested by that for two reasons. First of all, they have capital, let's say, money and power within the system, and they are relatable to the majority of the population who's actually in that belly. And I hope we can build on that and make a striking force that will be interesting. Because let's say, to basically summarize the layout of the action. So my hunger strike has been shorter than I expected, 38 days. And the way it happened was very strange, because actually, with all the dread and fear and anguish about the end of the world and my own death, it happened in happiness all the time. Luckily, I was in good health all the time, so I could actually sustain seeing hundreds of people a day in a good mood and jokingly, actually, a lot. And also in the way where I could actually, because many people came to cry in my arms, really, it was impressive. And in restoring hope to them. And that gives them strength beyond the day, actually, was cool. And strangely enough, 38 days were enough. People were stressed enough so that they would find a solution. And that was miraculous to me. What else can I say? So now where we stand now is that actually, I'm not a non-violent person. Because I had the argument many times, and so in the strategies we're going to deploy now, and because it worked actually, was I was hunger striking, naming and shaming will be one of them. Typically, boycotting will be one of them too, and anything that can actually bend or even disqualify political persons, because in the strategy we are discussing now, we typically aim at how to say that, helping the good people winning elections and discouraging others if we can. And that can be very aggressive, and I don't fear it, actually. And actually, people who are involved seem to agree with that. So that's an interesting point there. For the rest, now we are basically counting ourselves, starting to raise money, and identify how we can help or achieve or synchronize goals across all the people in Switzerland who are fighting. So that's the final point I want to make, is that the action itself opens channels of discussion with political parties. Funnily enough, after they all rejected me, all the militant organizations of Switzerland. And I even have now, and I'm very happy about it, because I strongly believe it's a powerful tool, trade unions who are agreeing to talk to me too. And the purpose, let's say, it's really, at the moment, it's just talk. It's my dream, or our dream, I'd say, is that we can, at some point within the next 2 years, unify enough of those forces to have significant actions on significant goals to be achieved. And that would be perfect, because in 2023 are going to be the federal parliamentary elections. So it's going to be the moment to tilt the balance of power in the country. So we're trying to prepare for that. and knowing that we have support from political parties who are interested in being on the right side of the tilt. And what else? That's it, I think. So in summary, it's dangerous and miraculous. It works sometimes. And the conditions to have it working are very, very, and I won't try it again myself because really I thought I would die this time. And I am really now going to invest in actions that are more about communication and proper strikes and blockades. That's the things that block the machine effectively. That I think is the most powerful ones. And I'm done.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Guillermo. Well, I think you've proved also that one person can have a major influence on the whole thing. You've acted as a catalyst, perhaps, for lots, which is also really important for people in this space here now who may be not connected with heaps of other people yet in their countries. The idea now is to just have a little bit of a fast go around from some of the different projects in different countries that we do have going at the moment. So there is Stop Old Growth in Western Canada. Would love to hear from the German crew and maybe, yeah, somebody else who wants to go as well, give an update on what's happening in your country, and then we'll go into a more in-depth time session with Laura from Italy. But maybe can I ask, Stop Old Growth, would it be cool to go with you for a quick, we'll just do like 5 minutes or less if you want. And if you want to answer like the questions, what's going well, what's going not so well, that would be fine if you want. Save the growth. Oh, wait, yeah. Is Zane or something kind of?
Sure, yeah, I can go, or if someone else from Canada who's there, you can go too. But yeah, I can just briefly say something, and then if someone else wants to add in, that's fine. So yeah, like a few weeks ago, we sent out a formal demand to the British Columbian government where we asked them to immediately end all old growth logging by the 9th of January. So these are forests in British Columbia that are, some of them are thousands of years old, and there are only 2% that are remaining in the province, and they're being actively logged. So there was a blockade in Vancouver Island over the past year and a half where over 1,000 people were arrested, but at the end of the day, it hasn't really gotten anywhere in terms of political change. So there's appetite both in the city and in the forests that we need to do something else that's going to force the government to act. So starting on the 10th of January, we're going to be disrupting, somewhat like Insular Britain, we'll be disrupting the Trans-Canada Highway day after day. So like at least 2 to 3 times a week and in different block teams. So we were having people in teams of 5 to 10 people, and they have a structure, and they're going to be going on different off-ramps during the morning rush hour on the westbound traffic. So it's going to disrupt the main highway system around Vancouver at least 2 to 3 times a week during the morning rush hour. And the plan is really to go for as long as it takes. And we're going in January for a month, and then we're pausing in February to do a lot of talks and recruitments. And then we're starting again in late March, which is when I think a lot of the people around the world are starting up again. So yeah, that's mainly, like, that's the general idea. So we've done a bunch of talks so far. We've done a few trainings, and we generally do like 3-hour trainings where we tell people how bad everything is. Then we tell them the general plan, and then we do some role play where people sort of get dragged around and all of that. And then we have some pizza, and then people sign up. So it's been a very effective way to sign people up. And yeah, so that's really the main thing that's going on in Vancouver right now. We haven't still chosen the color for our high-vis vests, but we were thinking it would be really good if it could be something like Insular Britain that goes really viral. Yeah, and recently someone just uploaded, we actually were having a debate about whether or not we should get on TikTok, and someone ultimately ended up just doing it. And the first video where we said that we were going to be blocking the Trans-Canada Highway ended up getting like 27,000 views or something. And I think that's supposed to mean that it went viral on TikTok. I don't know how the algorithm works, but we were just thinking about how viral the videos will go once people are on the highway and people are getting dragged around. And it's going to be extremely, yeah, but we know for a fact that it's going to cause a big provincial debate if it keeps going. Yeah, maybe Badger, Starling, if any of you or Laura have something to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I can quickly say a few things and then I've got to go. Thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, that TikTok video, and we also did some social ads for one of our talks. So I think I put like $10, $15 on Facebook and $10, $15 on Instagram. And we had 115 people register for one of our online talks and over 50 people on the call. So, and that was like something I could just do from my bedroom. So obviously we still want to have a go at putting all the leaflets on the doors, but for like a small bit of budget and not much time, that was like super effective. And we're able to like, that was all people in and around Vancouver, targeted with people that like environment or activism and things, stuff like that. And we can have a play around with all those things. So I would definitely recommend doing that for any groups. It's pretty straightforward to kind of follow. I have a little bit of experience with it, but like just try it, just boost for like $10 on, see what you get. And then the other great thing about this campaign is that the Trans-Canada Highway obviously runs across the whole length of Canada, and obviously we're based here in Vancouver, but we're hoping we're gonna have a group on Vancouver Island near Victoria. But really we already have interest for groups all across the country that can pop up, and we're kind of figuring out how we can do online trainings and things for them, or whether we'll go on like a bit of a tour around BC for that in February. But yeah, exciting times.
Absolutely exciting. And this is sort of an example of, so the main kind of aims that we want to achieve for people who haven't been to one of these sessions before is like helping each other to use the best methods that we can, so that we have the highest chance of success as quickly as possible. So it's about learning from each other and doing what we know works, and then trying new things. And obviously like TikTok is just a great example of like a no-brainer that we'll probably have to use everywhere. The main elements that all of the projects really are going to have in common is high risk actions, like highly disruptive sacrificial actions. It's really active systematic mobilization methods that actively bring people into the system, train them up, get them ready to go, so that the whole process grows constantly. Starting with like small project teams that have the autonomy to make quick decisions and get the ball rolling with the project, and then people can join it if they like it. And what was the other main element again? Anyway, we'll get to there. But we're going to hear now from, I think this is the really exciting time to hear from all these other projects as well. So who would like to go next? We've got Washington, United States, Austria, Czech, Germany. Any volunteers? Oh, and dilemma demand. Yeah, of course. I knew it was an important one. Did you want to go from, yeah, Washington?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. It's so cool to be on this call and seeing all of you, and it's really inspiring. Yeah, so we are starting. So we did 3 roadblocks last month. It's a group called Declare Emergency, and our dilemma demand is for Biden to declare a climate emergency, which is just insane that he hasn't done it yet, and also for him to. We're thinking about demanding that he issue one executive order, which should be pretty simple, like start a mass mobilization to build like microgrids or something like that. So we were really inspired by Insulate Britain, seeing what they did, and it seems like so many campaigns and groups have like been inspired by them, which is awesome. So so later this month on the 20th, we're going to go with a larger group. We're thinking of going for about 7 or 8 days, blocking like high disruptive areas here in DC. We went with 4 people over the 3 days in December. There was only 4 of us. 3 of us got arrested 3 times. And the second day, actually, we were like dragged around by motorists and stuff like that. So we got some good footage of that. And then it looks like we're gonna get like, we're looking to get like between 15 and 30 people on the roads in this month. And then we're gonna go again in March also to try to link up with, all the other groups around the world who are doing it. And by that time, we hope to get like 100 people on the roads or something like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. You can follow us at DEC Emergency on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that. So I'll go ahead and pass it.
Thanks, John. Starting with 3 people, 4 people, far out. Yeah, maybe heading from Germany, quick update. And also, I gather we'll make an announcement, but there's a specific sort of call from the German-Italian crew on the 15th of January or so for more information. But for now, a short update from Germany would be great.
Yeah, I can try to just briefly say there's a group calling themselves Letzte Generation, so last generation here in Germany. Part of us did the hunger strike before our general elections here and during the time before that in autumn. And so now we're trying to organize to have 50 at least people on the motorways in Germany at the end of January, and we're having the dilemma demand to have them pass a law to stop food waste, which we've already given. It's already there. I mean, other countries have it, and this is like very small climate impact, but a law that we want to bring through. And we've done some, after the hunger strike, we've had a conversation with the Chancellor of Germany, well, now Chancellor, and yeah, received some news because of actions where we went to supermarket trash cans and took out some food and said, this is, I mean, we robbed this food, you police, either you come prosecute or you need to change the laws in that. And I mean, we now have a government that is contains the Green Party as well, and they have the minister who would need to pass that law, and I think we can push that demand through. Anyways, so that's just speculation right now, but we're aiming to go out 2 to 3 times a week at least to block again and again and again on big streets, on motorways, highways, and yeah, building up now, having some people come into the organizational team from lots of cities all across Germany. We've did a mobilization tour with 50 meetings, 50 talks, where we had, I think 32 cities, and many people who haven't been involved in anything now claim, they say, I mean, this is like the moment I will go, I will even go to prison if it needs that. So people that were waking up to the situation. And yeah, so we are still looking for whether we can synchronize in March, or we'll go in April or May with the bigger mobilization. And we are looking, I mean, into not so easy Corona situation, but still organizing the meetings should get us double, triple, 4 times the amount of people we now have later in a few months, and training our media people and looking to other countries and looking forward to it. I mean, if I left out anything, do go ahead and ask, but maybe this is it for the moment. We are letztegeneration.de. I can put into the chat. I think we haven't had international translation. Yeah.
Maybe what's going really well? What would you say is going well for your team?
So I'd say the organizational, I mean, we started to have the hunger strike organized by 7 people, and now we are, I think, 70, 80 people in the organizational side of it, and some 50 people going onto the streets. And yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, super exciting. So Czech Republic update, please.
Okay. Yeah, we two of us from XR Czech Republic took part in the Insulate Britain actions in September, October, and then we started to organize along those lines in the Czech Republic. In 2 weeks' time, there are now 17 people signed up, prepared to get beaten up by local miners at a lignite mine on the Czech-Polish-German border. And we want to go there. The miners feel very threatened because there's an international court case going on at the European Court of Justice, and the Czech Republic, the government of the Czech Republic is keen to just get some money from the Poles and then retract the court case. So we want to go there and actually explode that issue by sacrificing our own health, by going in there and getting beaten up by miners. That's the plan for the 15th of January. So we will be around 20, maybe 22 people by then, because the mobilization is still going. 15 people of those people are from the Czech Republic. Then there are some Poles and some Germans joining in, and from there we will start to organize for militant actions in March in the Czech capital against the Czech government. The demands are unclear yet, but we hope to mobilize from the action at the lignite mine and maybe, yeah, be 50 people strong by March for militant actions, risking jail, and then use that as a springboard for July actions, where for at least 2 weeks we want to block a major intercity or inner city highway in the capital, and Czech capital of Prague again, hopefully with maybe 200 people, risking jail and mass participation. So of people who only will risk getting taken once by the police, maybe, or not even that. So we want to have a core of around 200 people organizing a protest for at least 2 weeks, for a few thousand people. So that's the plan at the moment. Yeah, what's going well, what's not, I don't know. We are at the very beginning, so we don't have that much experience yet, but that at least are the plans. So thank you.
Thank you. And for, it sounds like putting yourselves in harm's way, perhaps even more knowingly than others. That seems very brave. Thanks. Was there there was someone from Austria who wanted to speak about what was getting underway there.
Thank you very much. Hello, thank you very much for all the things you've shared by now. I think that's very, very inspiring and interesting. In Austria, we've been like for 4 months now blocking highway construction sites, 2 major construction sites, and it's still ongoing, the protest, and it's the political debate that arises is quite enormous, actually, more than we had expected. We're a group of very different people. I'm from Extinction Rebellion, but we've also got Fighters for Future on board, and System Change and Climate Change, and other groups like smaller Austrian groups. And I guess what's working very well is the cooperation between all the groups, and also the fact that we cooperate with like local citizens groups who have been done the fight in front of the justice for against the construction sites for years. So we have a very huge networks, and that's very working well. And I guess it's also kind of the aesthetics that helps us still staying there, because there are lots of young people, lots of children, families, older people, very wide range of people, and the city of Vienna kind of doesn't dare to send us the police to take us away from the violence. So I think it's kind of the aesthetics that helps us to stay there. They do try to like to get us away in the political way and also in the juridical way. They have sent like they want to claim they want to put people like who are in charge, or who they think that are in charge. They want to get the money back, so they want to have them in. They want to sue them for that, but they sent like they wanted to put them under pressure, and then there was a huge outcry in the media, so they kind of don't dare to do this anymore too. So it's very interesting how the public discourse is kind of moving with every day we're staying there, and lots of people support us. But we also really have problems like the hugest problem we had a few days ago, which was really horrible, is that some unknown person set one of the buildings on fire on the construction site, and there were 8 people in the building, and it was really like threatening their lives. But we're really glad that all of them could save themselves. So and there are also some people's like from the right political spectrum coming to threaten us. That's been like normal in the last months, but this thing a few days ago really was horrible, and now we are trying to kind of organize that always a lot of people are there, and staying there overnight and staying awake, so that we can really be alert about things like that. So so it's kind of interesting. We actually get along well on the political way. That's kind of more the violence coming from some really right people, probably, who are really like threatening us. That's the hugest problem we have at the moment. Yeah. And I can put the I don't know what, the Telegram ticker probably in here, or also the website. So if someone's interested to look it up. Yeah, thank you.
Please do. Maybe before we go on to hear from Laura from Italy, maybe somebody, I don't know, Neville, I see you're from the UK. It'd be interesting to hear what the next steps for Insulate Britain are, if you're on board with that, or if somebody else from the UK is.
I'd love to be able to tell you, but I'm very, very new here.
Oh,
so, sorry.
No worries. That's all good. You'll find out.
I can probably say a few things about the UK developments. So they have now 10 people in prison, and there's 19 more people who will stand in court on the 1st of February. And at the same time, while they're sustaining the campaign of Insulate Britain, they're shifting onto a new campaign, which is called Just Stop Oil. And they're in a major mobilization phase for that. They're aiming for 20 to 30 meetings every week between now and March, and organizing themselves similar to what we heard from Canada in regional groups, building up internal structures to sustain the campaign. And the focus will be on just stopping oil to make sure that the UK will not open the new Cambo oil field in the North Sea while trying to be or pretending to be a green leader in the world. And it's going to be a two-tier campaign with people who are willing to go to prison and who will do Insulate Britain style things, but also enabling many more people to join with less risky activities. They're aiming to have 600 people on the road and another 400 students. So there's a big youth mobilization going on as well in universities. So we're looking, the number they're aiming for is 1,000 people in March in the UK to really force some change.
Cool. Just Stop Oil. Such a good name. Thanks. Yeah.
And it has the Nike, it has the Nike logo, of course, with dripping oil from it.
Clever. Jesper, a teaser for what's coming up in Norway, and then we'll
Thanks, Andy, for organizing or being part of organizing this call. This is really, really good. Can you hear me well? I'm just checking. Yeah. So I'm a part of me and some people who have been part of XR, who have been kind of discouraged by dysfunctional structures and things not really working out, have really taking the call to action that Hallam has posted through the Insulate Britain and how to stop the climate crisis in 6 months. And so what we're looking at is the carbon fee and dividend that James Hansen, a famous climate scientist, has kind of put together, which is being investigated now by the Norwegian government, and how that would be made into action. And very short, for those who don't know, the carbon fee and dividend is basically a Robin Hood tax for emissions. So you would pay, there would be an extra cost for all producers or importers of oil, coal, or gas. And that price would go up each year significantly. And then all that money would be redivided to everybody, to all citizens once a month. So the people who have their private jets and who do lots of emissions, they would pay a lot and maybe get €100 back, while the people who are more poor and who doesn't use so much fossil fuels, they would maybe pay €20 a month, but they would still get 100 back. So that's what we're seeking to mobilize, and going especially for the trade unions, which could be key in supporting this. So it's a very initial step, but to do the regular kind of small action, to tour, and then mobilize to NVDA and so on and so forth. So that's a very short update, and I hope to give more another time when things are progressing. Thanks.
Oh, it's great to know that that's all happening. So just as a quick reminder for everybody, like, put your emails and names in the chat if you haven't already getting updates, because as you can see, there's a lot of different experience, and the country where you're from, a lot of different experiences and learnings going on. And we really want to systematize things and give everyone the best possible resources to get going as effectively as we can, learning from each other. Rodri will speak to that later on. But now I'm so excited to really get a good update from Italy. So yeah, pass it over to you, Laura. And then after this, we'll go into breakout rooms, so there'll be a good chance to chat with each other.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, it's amazing and thrilling. Sorry. Yeah, it's thrilling and really exciting for me listening to all these movements around the world. Okay, let's go into Italy. It's pretty funny that now we are seen as the heroes of the moment, and even on an international scale. It's even more absurd that someone in Italy, journalists or people who are in touch with us, told us that we are doing history. I leave it as a paradox, since I feel like we are the new entries with zero experience in the great battlefield of civil disobedience. Well, then I think to myself, wait, we've just done 9 fucking motorways blockades in less than 2 weeks. And we were only 8 crazy folks in front of 5 kilometers cars. This is the moment when I realize, okay, maybe we did something good, but I'm not really sure about it yet. I have to realize and to elaborate all this information and stuff. Yeah. On the last day, we were just 5 people left. So probably this is the best lesson we have for other countries, how to block people. And when you are only 5, this is a lesson that comes from our desperation. We don't have the number of insulate written, of course. And it sounds like the Hunger Games of the Holy Grail, which is the Grande Raccordo Anulare, the Italian M25, practically, a circle around Rome, our capital city, with measured traffic and tons of angry car and motor drivers. Yeah. Before sharing with you a report about our first iteration, I'd like to spend a minute about our campaign, because yeah, we have a campaign. We call ourselves Ultima Generazione, which is last generation in English too. We have a precisely timing because in Italy too, as in Switzerland, in 2023, there will be political elections. So our first demand is a Citizens Assembly. Yeah, we decided to try to stay in the XR movement. So we are like a project inside the movement, even if not all the Italian movement is okay with this, but we are trying to do our best. Yeah, we are like the radical front, and yeah, we Citizens Assembly by the end of 2022, and we're doing a lot of political pressure, sending letters, even asking people who we are blocking physically to phone to ministers, ring and say, hey, there are some people who want to talk with you, because our second demand, our dilemma demand, and smaller, is to have a public, of course, a public meeting with our prime minister and other ministers who involve our fields, who for us are fundamental, like the Souther, the minister of the south of Italy, which is going through a process of desertification, and the Minister of Agriculture, for example, because in Italy, 2021 was the black year for Italian agriculture. So we are trying to extend our contacts also on a rural scale and to involve people from geographical areas that were not involved in the classical middle class climate movement. Okay, so I'd like to share with you my screen. Okay, not this. Okay, this is maybe the title of our first iteration, which is how to save the world blocking the traffic. And this is the major, sorry for my bad English. This is the major Italian newspaper on, yeah. And then here we are on The Guardian. Of course, we had a lot of resonance in other countries and so minor in Italy, but we knew it would have been like something like that. And now we have, yeah, here are some data we did it for our financiers, not for you. I'm really so sorry, but we are more proud, of course, to share this data with you, amazing and brave people. So yeah, we were 10 people the first day. We did it. Okay, there are some people who are arriving, who are joining this meeting at the same time. We did 9 major motorways blockers in less than 2 weeks. Okay, we had no detention, unfortunately, because in Italy it's very difficult to this result, but 65 RSTs. And yeah, as Andy said before, 13 evacuation orders from the capital city that we repeatedly violated in the course of the days, and of course a lot of fines and so on. Yeah, so now we have some data about speeches and our mobilization strategy and our working groups. A good thing is that we have some the beginning of movement building, which was one of our first goals. Local XR groups are beginning to enter in something more radical, or they want to support us on a local scale, organizing presentation or something like that. And yeah, we are also see that people are in XR are going to prepare projects on a larger scale and not think about only one action. Okay, and then what we can do? Well, okay, we can go our home and it's okay. No, they are trying to have a more long-term strategy, which is really important, of course. Well, our social media, it's okay. Well, the thing that I want to stress out is that we are working about our contacts with our allies. And Well, apart from a statement of support from the Italian Communist Party, which was really very funny, we we have two key contacts that we really wanted before starting, which are sorry, because I'm also co-host, I had to admit people, which are Giudizio Universale, which is a climate litigations that is currently going on in Italy, and Politici per caso, which is legislation from yeah, which is a legislation from that comes from population. So as George Lucky said, we have a legislator, we have a legislation, and now we represent the rebellion. So we, in Italy, here we have these three key elements that go farther, that can go farther, and we also have get in touch people of the who are involved in press of all these movements. So we expect great things. Okay, I can share with you this document if you want to see how our message was spread on local and international press. I'd like to talk briefly on what we're working during this month. Well, of course, Q&A, we're activating as I said, things, experimenting the Portland method. So going with at least 5,000 flyers in a specific small area of a city or even a smaller town, and also fixing them on houses, on the entrance of houses. And of course, we are maintaining both binaries, so weekly online Zoom calls and scheduling more and more live presentations with emotional speeches, of course, in order to activate people. We are planning NVDA trainings and even trainings for new trainers in order to amplify our people who work on the project and the campaign. We follow the Insulate Britain method. So we have the first approach is a meeting, a presentation, then a second meeting, a follow-up, and then we have a working group who gets in touch with personal contact, and then we invite people in team building process, people who are willing to go to the street or they need help to make this decision. And the best thing is that it's working. It's working because people don't feel very alone. And so this sense of building a community around a person is really, really important for us. Yeah, we are thinking also about escalation tactics for February, because the another important element is that we're going to be again in the streets in February. We plan to be at least 2 affinity groups, maybe 3. It depends on how we will recruit. And so doing different blockades in different points at the same time. Yeah, and we are painting the ecological transition department because it could be a good strategy for detention from a legislation point of view. Anyway, we expect to be arrested in February because we will be more people. We will be very determined. At the example, one strategy could be, okay, let's do this blockade. Then we go to we are led to the police, their office. We have this infinite waiting in very bedrooms, and then we go outdoor, and we block the same motorway just an hour before after the release. So we are thinking about strategies like that of escalation. Or, for example, moving into the core of Rome, so in a more urban context, and doing like a guerrilla. So calling police and say, we are doing this block, then they come and they don't find us because they have moved to another one place. So yeah, we have these ideas, and we are trying to experiment. This is I think this is a social experiment. Okay. I think that the most important thing that we are all people in this call of something bigger than us. Usually police told us that we were good guys, and it's very funny because yeah, for me the dilemma, it's not also about political, but it's about a social dilemma about us, because I want to do all what is necessary to become non-violently dangerous, and at the same time seen as as a person who does the right course of the history. And I think this could be a great point to reach in our country and in our fight together in all countries. And I leave to you an Arabic proverb who has inspired us a lot, which is don't give up. You would risk to stop 1 hour before the miracle happens. Thank you all, and thank you for your patience for my really bad English.
Thank you very much, Laura. Maybe what we'll do now, does anybody have a real pressing question? Otherwise, I thought maybe we've been listening a lot, and it might be nice to like chat in a small space. Maybe twinkle fingers if you want to go to breakout rooms now. Otherwise, people look pretty sleepy. Oh yeah, okay, cool. All right, I think, yeah, we'll go into breakout rooms for 10 minutes and people can talk with each other about what you've just absorbed and maybe what you've got coming up and stuff like that, and use it as an opportunity to maybe swap details as well. And yeah, I think the idea, what we want to do as well is have like theme sessions, themed topics to work on. So indigenous solidarity, for example, is really a good one that we should have. Maybe we could create a bit of a roster on different aspects to cover, because in the following, so these are going to be fortnightly sessions, and we can have concentrated elements to focus on. But for now, we'll go into breakout rooms and we'll get.
Sorry, Andy, what's the topic for the breakout room?
Breakout room is what's happening next and how can you support each other, and maybe to share, repeat maybe what you've learned, for example, in order to try and bring it into your own brain. Just because I want to assign breakout rooms randomly as well at this point. Okay, we're back in 10 minutes. Cool, so I hope you swapped some details so that you can continue connecting, because there's a lot to learn from each other. And now it's been a bit of a long session. I know it's getting a bit late in some parts of the world, but Rodri was just going to talk about briefly the sort of global support system thing and how you can get connected. Are you there, Rodri?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a sec. Okay, is it shared? Can you see?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm Rodri. I'm based in Finland. I'm originally from the UK. I'm part of the admin team on the International Mobilization project. And I've been working with Connie, who's not here tonight, and Roger on systematizing and properly financing mass nonviolent civil resistance. And so I'm just going to run through this quite quickly, because obviously it is getting quite late now. And at the end, I'll give you the email address and you can email us if you have any questions. So some of you guys will already know about some of this. Some of you guys are already on iterations already. But for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to quickly run through it. So this process is broken up into 3 iterations: a small first step, then a larger one, and then hopefully the big one, the massive one. And there's some criteria for starting the iterations. And the first one is it has to be a small group of people to start with. We're recommending between 5 and 8. And the reason is that that number of people, you can actually get decisions made. Any more than that, and it gets into a bit of a quagmire, and things just don't get done. And those 5 to 8 people are have the executive power. They're the decision makers. So they will be working groups as well, but ultimately they're the ones who kind of call the shots, if you will. And they should also have some knowledge of action design, group processes, and obviously be good team players. So the second criteria is the winnable dilemma demand, which we've kind of heard from some of the amazing people we heard from tonight. And it's a demand that's concrete, specific, and supported by the majority of the population. So a really obvious example is like the Insulate Britain. Yeah, it's a total no-brainer. Grannies are dying. It's just insulation. The government's already said they were going to do it. They haven't done it. So that's the dilemma demand. And so obviously it should be non-violent. And the demands that the dilemma demand should be presented to the government as an ultimatum with a time limit. That's really important. And then if there's no response, then the non-violent disruption begins within a matter of days. And then final criteria is mobilization. And this has to happen regularly and on a big scale. Like it's like meeting all the time, online, offline, face-to-face, like in a park, up a tree, wherever, doesn't matter. But you need the sort of emotional talk, really well delivered, some testimonies and breakout groups, and then really importantly, signing up for the next steps. And there is like a whole kind of discipline around designing these meetings that will support people with to make sure that they're getting as many people signing up as possible. Okay. And so the first iteration, what does it look like? Well, it's the 5 to 8 people, then between 5 and 15 people taking action. And those actions should be conducted over 1 to 2 weeks. And there is, Roger's been doing a lot of fundraising, and there is money to cover $5,000 for the initial startup and mobilization costs. Once iteration 1 is done, and you know, it's hopefully there's been some traction and media interest and what have you, then there's moving on to iteration 2. And this has to happen within 4 to 8 weeks of the first iteration. Why is that? Because you need to keep the momentum going. If you don't, if the momentum slides, you know, people get tired and start like falling out, and you know, people go on holiday, whatever. So it has to, the tempo has to be maintained. There should be 10 full-time mobilizers. So they are doing the meetings every week, hundreds of them, as many as they can. We're estimating that 50 to 100 should be taking place. And with each meeting, you get 1 to 2 new recruits. And ultimately, then you're aiming for 50 to 200 people taking action. And again, there is a pool of money available with up to $50,000 to cover the living expenses of the mobilizers and other costs such as leafleting and other expenses. And then if that all goes well, then it's the big kahuna, iteration number 3, which is just like immense. It's 300 full-time mobilizers going absolutely bonkers, hundreds of public meetings, at least 8 weeks of mobilization, and with a target of 2,000 to 10,000 people taking action for 2 weeks. And yeah, there's 500,000 is been earmarked for iteration 3. What other support do we offer? So it's not just money, it's other important things as well. So a pathway to action documents, it's really detailed about how to get people into the meetings, how to get them feeling emotional and like who want to take action. Like it's a very, very detailed document. It's got all of the latest thinking from Insulate Britain and other campaigns, like how to design effective meetings. The micro designs, as they're sometimes called, designing the dilemma action, also media training, NVDA trainer coaching, and we are creating an online knowledge sharing hub, which is going to include a lot of that documentation and also experiences from various groups around the world. So it's going to be kind of like a living hub that's continuously updated with the best kind of know-how and techniques. And yeah, I will whack this email address in the chat as well. So if you have got any questions or you want to start iterating, then get in contact. We'd love to hear from you. Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Rodri. Hopefully that answered some people's questions about how you can learn more and get connected. There is also on the 15th of January, 8 p.m. Rome, Berlin time, Italians conduct, and Switzerland, Germany, Italy, and Switzerland are doing a presentation then. So maybe for people in Europe and stuff, that would be another good session to go to. We're sort of running a bit over time now. However, I'm really happy for people that keep hanging around and talking. And if people want to move on, they can. Be really cool to talk about indigenous solidarity. So I figure maybe if people want to stick around, that would be really good to network on that as well. Otherwise, this will be happening again in 2 weeks' time, and I think everyone's put their emails in so far. But if you haven't yet, email and country that you're from in the chat, and then we can keep you connected. Otherwise, yeah, these sessions we want to do every fortnight because there's so much happening, and just keeping connected with each other is really inspiring. And if you want to help out in coordinating some of the stuff, you can also email that into mob support. That would be really appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we are decolonizing ourselves and focusing on, I guess, what the toxicity that's kind of brought this problem forward for us all, and that is, you know, in large part to do with modernity, which is brought along by colonization. And so I think it's really important that we're all taking the time to, you know, look at the cultures that we live in, and also look at the cultures that we don't live in, which is often First Nations cultures that have this difference of mindset, which is, you know, taking away the self-ego and moving into, you know, understanding that, you know, we are connected to the natural world. And so, and also a lot of, you know, this is a very white room. We have a lot of white supremacy that's just built into our system that we, first of all, you know, as frontline activists, take advantage of, because our privilege allows us to stand on that front line and hold that nonviolent sort of perspective and demeanor, because we haven't had the violence of the system thrust upon us. Here in Australia, the First Nations people have gone through a genocide, and I know that's the case a lot around the world. And that, you know, going through a genocide, it seeds violence in you, and it's intergenerational. And so, yeah, I think it's really important that we are not afraid. You know, in Australia at the moment, the First Nations people are standing up because they've got what we call Invasion Day, or it's Australia Day, the day that marks when white settlers came to Australia, and so we call it Invasion Day. And it's going to be a big, you know, front line here. And And because of this genocide, you know, the indigenous people don't, and First Nations people don't have a strong non-violent perspective. And I think, you know, it's a big conversation happening at the moment how we as non-violent people can support and provide solidarity for First Nations people who have had all of that trauma and still hold our non-violent philosophy. And I think a lot of it is recognizing our privilege to be non-violent because of what we have not experienced through our history and you know, intergenerational trauma. So I'd you know, I guess I don't know if it's something that happens around the world, but I wanted to express the need to recognize non-violence as a privilege. And yeah, I know that there's some great stuff happening in Canada at the moment as well, and so if there's anyone there, I'd love to hear if you're talking to the Wet'suwet'en. But Guillermo has their hand up, and yeah, I'd love to pass on, see what happens.
Thanks, Fa. Guillermo?
Yeah, actually, the point you raise about the white privilege using is actually a thing I've lived fully through, which is that in Switzerland currently there are a few other hunger strikes currently happening in prisons, and they're refugees, and no one cares. They're not even in the news. And I fully know that the fact that I've been on the news is my privilege. And that was my weapon, actually, because the people I need to move are the privileged ones. And so it's a very good point to be fully aware of the privileges you have and weaponize them as much as you can. Because that's been really my only weapon, is that I was a white dude with 3 kids, a good salary and a good job. And that impressed the people I wanted to impress. On the other side, which was, it surprised me actually, I had people coming from Kurdish backgrounds and other refugee type of backgrounds in Switzerland that came actually to recognize my action as legitimate, which touched my heart very deeply, because that was my fear, is that I would be felt unsincere by those people, and they actually didn't. So that was cool. But yeah, the privilege is a weapon for me, and the difficulty is to identify where you are privileged and how you can weaponize it. But clearly, it's a weapon for in my understanding of the situation. So thanks for the for the pointing that out, because it's very important. And I do not feel ashamed when I'm said I'm using my privilege, because I use it as a weapon knowingly. And the thing is how to act in such a way that you don't hurt the ones who are not privileged. And that might be difficult. So I'm done, sorry.
Thanks for sharing. Susan, love to hear from you.
Yes, hi everyone. Great to see everyone on this call still. And I'm really excited that there seems to be a lot of interest in this subject, because it certainly is a top interest of mine. I completely concur that those of us with whiter skin have a much easier arrest process. And so yes, definitely to use it as a weapon, but I also just feel further to that just deepens the level of responsibility that we have. I feel we all have, as Indigenous peoples here on Turtle Island, which is the real name for North America, for those who may not know, on Turtle Island, Indigenous people, we're very late to the table, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We're very late to the table. And we're standing on enormous shoulders of Indigenous peoples that have been fighting this fight since, you know, the colonizers first landed on these shores 500 years ago. So I think the fact that we have this privilege adds to our responsibility to act, because people that don't have this privilege here it's an understood phenomenon that they receive a much more violence from the police than the people of lighter skin do. They're very brutalized. Some of you may know that even as we speak, there's a crisis unfolding in the north of the province of British Columbia, where I live, with a nation of indigenous people called the Wet'suwet'en people. And the Canadian government is using the paramilitary and heavily armed AF-15 assault rifle military and attack dogs to attack unarmed indigenous people that are trying to stand up to prevent a pipeline being forced through on their unceded territories. This is happening right now. In fact, any day now, there's going to be another raid that's happening on these people. So I really encourage people to learn about what is happening here. We have, of course, indigenous people being only 5% of our world population, and yet they are still defending 80% of our wild spaces, which is one of the greatest resources that we have in our battle against our climate collapse. So it is, I think it's important to say that it's not just indigenous people and BIPOC, Black, indigenous people of color, not just BIPOC peoples that have suffered from colonization, because every single human on this planet has suffered from colonization. We all have. Some of us are just not aware of that yet. And this is part of the decolonization work, which I feel is also so important for each and every one of us to participate in. To be honest, really, 5 years ago, I really did not understand this, because I had been so colonized myself that I didn't even understand how important it is to understand how this plays with our climate crisis. You really, there's no separation between indigenous justice and climate justice. They are interconnected. Anyway, I don't want to go on forever, but I do encourage people to search up the Wet'suwet'en Nation. Yinta Access is another way to learn about them and support them, because they're being incredibly brave. They're very small numbers of people that are literally standing up to this colonial violence and this resource extraction industry, which is so apocalyptic here right now. So if the very least you can do is to follow them on social media and send them some love, they would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Susan. I have been following the Wet'suwet'en for years now, and they're so inspiring to me. So yeah, really, really appreciate, and actually would even love to come and visit and learn from you guys, because it's just an incredible campaign and really, really inspiring leaders. Andy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think so yeah, we need to wrap it up. Everyone, you totally feel free to leave as well. I need to go to the toilet badly. But just to say once again that yeah, this is really cool. This is great, because we're all in different parts of the world actually to have this conversation, which is like an ongoing thing. And everything you said is so true. But yeah, maybe if people want to, the idea is to sort of make these sessions quite constructively learning as well. Today was a bit of a catch up on lots of different projects, but we might try and, if people have ideas, but anyway, the idea is to, structure it a bit better so we can learn and have like, possibly breakouts on different things or whatever, this kind of stuff in the future. But yeah, I think this is a really important, totally important aspect to it all. But we might wrap it up there. getting late, getting early. And thank you so much for coming, and make sure to get the recording out soon and save the chat with the triple dots to get all the, I think we've all got to update our social media, collectivism and learning. So thanks everyone for coming, and have a great day. And in 2 weeks time, we'll be here again, and keep following Save Old Growth, because I think that's the thing that's happening next, January 9th or 10th. All right. Have a good
Susan,
day.
can you send me your dates, please?
Last chance
Sure.
to speak.
What's best? Email?
Email, yeah. Yeah, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So nice to
Bye,
see you.
everybody. Thank you. Lots of love.
Yes. Be back